Hi, I'm Jo Taylor and welcome to the Misadventures podcast. This week, Stamps, we've got Justin Moorhouse joining us, telling us all about his travels and potentially completely sabotaging the whole of the GB team's attempts at the Olympics.
You mean Team GB's?
Yeah.
Team GB's Olympic dreams.
That's the one.
Yeah, I know. How amazing would that have been if it had actually wiped out the whole of Team GB?
I'm not sure amazing is the right word there. Devastating,
Soul destroying.
Yeah, probably. And I think his rather is apt. So we'll leave that for listeners to find out. But
What do you mean is rather?
of what he would rather be known for than bringing down Team GB.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
So he had some fantastic stories beyond, nearly sabotaging Team GB's attempts. I think he's been travelling a lot of places, got some awesome stories, experiences. Just a bit of a travel chit-chat.
Travel chit-chat.
That could have been a tongue twister, couldn't it? Nailed that one first go. So I think it was decent. And then obviously heading across to the US, got some shared experiences with him there, which were good.
Except you didn't nearly get eaten by a bear, but you did. So there you go.
I think all round good episode. Let's take a listen. Where's your on with the episode?
On with the episode.
I was waiting. You can't make something your thing and then not do it anymore.
Don't make Joe wait.
Oof.
Oof.
Indeed.
On with the episode.
Justin, how you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. Are we all good?
Yeah, I was hoping I was going to be able to get into the session, let some of my excitement wear off before you joined, but here you already are.
So thank you, Justin, because I haven't got to be put through that now. That's just grand. Whereabouts are you? Where are you based?
I live in Stockport, South Manchester.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Don't know if you know the area. Where are you?
I know the area very, very well because my wife is from Reddish.
All right, I live in Heaton, Mersey.
Heaton, Mersey, yeah, so just round the corner.
Yeah.
So I've dragged her away, kicking and screaming, to Leamington Spa.
All right. My mate used to go to University of Warwick and he used to live in Leamington.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
we used
cool.
to go for weekends. It's like 25 years ago, something like that. A different world.
I'm in Coventry, which is actually where Warwick University is.
Yeah.
Just not get into that confusion.
I know, and the Warwick Arts Centre.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Yes, the Warwick Arts Centre.
So if you go to see like a comedian at the Warwick Arts Centre, the first thing, guaranteed, the first joke they'll ever tell is about how they've been given a job at the Warwick Arts Centre, but it's not in Warwick. And yeah, you always know they're going to say it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'll not do that. Are we recording, by the way?
Yeah, I've just said it recorded.
Part of the podcast.
Well, yeah.
I've got a travel thing I didn't want to throw away, really, which is similar to that, is that I was in Shanghai once doing a gig.
Yeah.
I was just about to go on and I was like flicking through the listings magazine and I came across our listing and it said, it's the International Comedy Club tonight at this sort of place. And let's just hope that the comedians this time don't talk about how the Chinese people just spit everywhere. I went, all right, I won't be doing that.
Pre-prep.
Yeah.
You say like going back 25 years. I was just saying to Jo how much I like Phoenix Nights. And she was like, when was it on? And I was like, don't think it was that long ago. And she had a look and it was like 2001, she said, the last series was. And I was like, my life.
I know, terrible.
You were surprised that I wasn't watching it. I was 7, I was in bed.
Can I just say when somebody agrees to do your podcast, probably one of the things that, not to say is that you didn't see their only thing that they've ever really done. You're too little to stay up.
No, I wasn't allowed to stay up. I still had bedtime at 9 o'clock when I was 16.
It's just funny, isn't it? Yeah.
So Jo said, Justin Moorhouse is really funny. He goes on all these podcasts. And I was like, no, Phoenix Nights. So we both know you from completely different things.
Well, there you go. That's good then. That is good.
So, because we were just saying, Stamps knows you from all of the stuff with Phoenix Nights. And I was like, oh, no, have you seen him on Have a Word? Like, and all his stand-up and things like that. Like, that's how I know you. So it's like, it's two different aspects, I suppose, of kind of like your career that we both enjoy.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Wow.
There you go.
So, obviously, we've got some little highlights of your travels, Justin.
Mm-hmm.
One place you've been to, Tokyo. I've never been. Sam's never been.
No, it's on the list.
Yeah, you have done a lovely big road trip across the US,
Yeah.
as have I, but not in the same place you have. So, one place we've probably got some similarities on, one other not so much. So, take us to Tokyo, Justin.
So yeah, I've just come back from Tokyo. I was the time of recording. It's the end of August 2021, isn't it? Yeah.
Indeed.
Dates don't mean anything anymore.
No, they don't.
Nothing seems real, but so I've just come back from Tokyo, where they've been hosting the Olympics, working for Team GB and DFS, which is something I did the last time in Rio. So I went to Rio with Team GB as well, and DFS, who are they are a sponsor of Team GBs. Yeah. So the idea was we made little social videos, Facebook and YouTube and all that sort of stuff with the athletes when they'd finished competing. It's a process within Team GB called Managing Victory. So once you've competed, if you're lucky enough to win a medal or whatever, you go through a process of media and sponsors and everything else. And it ends up at this place called British House, which is like the headquarters for Team GB whilst they're in the host city. So in Rio, it was in this beautiful art college, this like stately home right underneath Christ the Redeemer statue.
Oh, nice.
And it was beautiful. It was lit up at night, and there were these botanic gardens around it and people's families. So, John Smith wins gold for high jump, and his mum and dad and his girlfriend and that, they're all waiting for him at this house. So when he comes out of the village and he's got his medal and he does all this thing, he meets his family there and we make these little things. So lovely kind of embassy kind of feel to it. Does that make some sort of sense? But obviously in COVID times, they came out of competing and they just found me in this members club in Tokyo going, hey, all right, what's it like to win gold, Adam Peaty?
Do you want to chat?
Yeah, and so it was slightly different this time, but it was still great. And what was sort of apart from the job, from a very personal point of view, the most exciting thing, and obviously you're fascinated with on this podcast, is traveling.
Yeah,
not travelled anywhere for ages.
Yeah,
and just to get on the plane and that kind of rigmarole of packing your bag and getting to the airport, getting through the airport, security, and all those things that you don't really think about. You just think about the destination, don't you? But half of it is the journey.
Yes, that's interesting, actually, Justin, because I think you are the first person we've spoken to on the podcast that's actually probably travelled abroad just before we've spoken to them.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. Everything's been from years ago, hasn't it?
Yeah, so like both Stamps and I haven't actually travelled abroad yet since before COVID. What did you actually have to go through? Because I actually don't know.
Well, there was twofold really, or even threefold, the sort of process beforehand, because you have to go through the sort of obligatory stuff that the travel company expects you to do, which is clear tests and double jabbed and certificates and everything else. But then because we were going to Japan for the Olympics, they were very, very keen on everything. Yeah. So we had three PCR tests in the week before we went. And then the nervousness of waiting for those results, because not only am I traveling for the first time in 18 months or so, it's the first proper earnings I've had.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So kind of looking forward to this because I could pay some bills off and things like that. And so the kind of like nerves around waiting for those tests to come back. But luckily they all came back. So I was double jabbed because I got my jabs really, really early, because during the pandemic I was ferrying old people to clinics and things for their jabs. I was taking part in the car scheme around here, the volunteers, taking people. So the doctors actually, when we were there, it's me and Jason Manford as well, he was doing a bit, that when we were at the clinic, they went, hang on a minute, you've getting all these old people in your cars. It would make sense for you to be jabbed, So we got ours relatively early. So I've been fully jabbed for ages. So anyway, the point of the matter is we had to fill all these forms in. We had to, do all this protocol. We were told that when we got to Tokyo, we weren't allowed. We had to submit, or the sort of British Olympic Association submitted our sort of schedule and our travel plan and what we were doing. And we just had to stick to that for the first 2 weeks. And that was hotel and in a car to the venue to film and back. And that's all we could do for 2 weeks. So we thought, when we get there, we thought, you know what? It won't be like that. They're just saying that, just because to make everybody, oh my God, it was like that.
Because they were on proper lockdown, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they not so much as we were, but like everything closed at 8 o'clock. No bars or restaurants were serving alcohol. But anyway, when we landed at the airport, we got to the airport and we got off the plane and we were being met by the local Team GB fixers and they were meeting us from DFS and Alistair Brownlee, the triathlete, and Sir Hugh Wollstonecroft, who is the boss of the Olympics in Britain. So it's quite funny. It's quite funny because this guy held his sign up and just said to me, he goes, Alistair Brownlee? I went, I think he's got the wrong lad. And then the next thing you know, me and Claudio, who's one of the producers, we just got off the plane. We've been through that, that it took ages to get through because you have to get tested when you arrive in Tokyo as well. You have to be PCR test when you arrive and then wait for your number. It took ages. But it was very good. It was all very well organised.
Oh, that's good then.
I was desperate for the toilet. So nipped off to the toilet. And as we came back, everybody in our party was going, just don't tell people we've been to the toilet. I was like, why? Because we'd already broke protocol.
Oh, no.
We already could have put the entire mission of Team GB at risk because once we arrive and we've had that test, we are negative and then we are in a bubble. But going to the toilet, we'd stepped out of the bubble. So I said, I didn't know anything about this. And the woman went,
But what were you meant to do?
we were meant to wait. Yeah. And the woman said to me, she went, it's literally in the playbook, right, like that. And I went, what's the playbook? And Claudio just grabbed my shoulder and went, it's that thing that you read and signed to say that you agree. I went, oh, yeah, playbook.
Whilst here, we're all waking up to headlines saying Justin Moorhouse takes out Team GB.
Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? And then because that's one of the rules. One of the rules was that if anybody because we travelled with the official Team G party, we were like participants. So the rules were that if one person broke the rules, they could expel your team. I'm like, no one needs that. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, no.
I'd rather have been cancelled for having it off with the dog or something like that than be cancelled for ruining the hopes and dreams of like a generation. So
them poor BMXers who have crowdfunded 500 grand to get there.
Exactly.
You've sent them home because
I went for a pee. Yeah. I mean, what was really weird as well, just sort of jumping back, like getting on the plane at Manchester to the shuttle down to London and walking through the terminal, it was like 28 days later because one of the terminals was closed, but they still used the gates. So you had to walk through the terminal, even though none of the shops were open. So, I mean, you've never been in an airport and not seen Boots or WH Smith making a fortune, have you? But they're all closed.
Absolutely not.
All closed, all really quiet. And then getting to London, Terminal 5, which is, I don't know if you've ever flown from Terminal 5. It's a very exciting sort of modern terminal. Nothing really, hardly anything open. Many of the big chains were closed. And then there was a brilliant bit, you'll like this. Part of the deal I got was that I flew business class, which is very nice.
Nice, fancy.
I've never, ever paid for business class, but I flew business class. And when we checked in, the desk, they went, really sorry, because of the restrictions, the business class lounge is closed. So we were like, oh, okay, all right. So you're going to have to go in the first class lounge.
How awful. How terrible.
I'm not happy about that, but I will put up with it.
For the greater good, I shall.
But actually, you know what? When it all boils down, you don't get a lot for your money when you spend tens of thousands of pounds on flights.
We were speaking, I think it was to Dane Baptiste, about he flew business class, like because he got some deal, and he said it was amazing. He said, I can't even imagine what first class must be like.
Well, I've flown.
No.
I've flown first.
Go on.
Okay.
Well, I again flying to Tokyo. Part of the deal was the airline that we were with. They gave us the deal, and we flew with them. And technically it was upper class, so it was on Virgin, which is their first class, and it was incredible.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. So I went with Joel Dommett. You know Joel Dommett.
Yeah.
This was years ago. So Joel and I went to Tokyo, and we did these gigs, and they were great. And everything. We stayed at the Ritz-Carlton in Tokyo. We flew upper class. And I remember I met him at Heathrow, and he checked and he went, "We've been upgraded first class." You can imagine him saying that, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I just said, I hope I've been upgraded, because if I haven't, you're my support act. So technically,
We're swapping.
now I'd be the shit on his shoe, wouldn't I? But anyway, so basically, we flew through the night to Tokyo with a lie flat bed and a door that closed. You had your own little pod.
Oh my God.
And everything else. Get on the plane, and a woman comes up. She said, "Champagne," and I said, "No, I mean, I don't drink." So she said, "All right, soft drinks." And I'm all right. She said, "Anything, coffee, tea?" I said, "Oh, I'll have a coffee." She said, "I said, do you have any oat milk? Because I don't have dairy." And she said, "Yeah." I said, "What kind of coffee would you like?" And I was like, and they just went and made you like a latte or something. And then, it was amazing. So we just played with everything all the way
that'd be
to
me.
Tokyo.
Yeah.
Just everything that, but then on the way back, after 4 or 5 days in Tokyo, we had a great time and we were coming back. On the way back, there's stewards and air stewards came and said, "Have you flown upper class with us before?" We're like, yes, please, leave us alone. I'm trying to get some rest here. Don't explain how the bed lies flat. I know. But they'll come and make the bed up for you.
Very nice.
I mean, it's really weird because when you've not paid for it, you do feel like a lottery winner.
Yeah.
And you do. I mean, I spent most of my life having imposter syndrome anyway.
Yeah.
So just to be on that plane, it was a bit, it was a bit weird.
So, it's one of the conversations we had with Dane was, do we really think that the money is worth the difference between economy and business? And then the difference between business and first, is the difference there again in experience?
Well, if money wasn't an object, then I would never fly anything other than business.
Really?
So not first?
No, I mean, all you want is, as long as you can lie down on the bed, that's all you need. That's for me. That's the major thing. Is the lie down on the bed so you can go to sleep if you want. I'm not interested in the film because I never watch a film on a plane. Never. I'll watch something on my iPad that I've brought because my iPad's a better screen than the screen on the seat.
That's the thing now, isn't it?
Yeah.
The things that you used to pay for, you're carrying with you anyway.
Yeah.
So why would you bother?
The sound's terrible. The picture quality's rubbish. They've often been edited. If you ever get a flight in or out of the Middle East, if you go to Dubai, they're very, very, very heavily edited. So I don't want to watch that. I really like going to the cinema. I hate watching films on TV at home. I like the cinema. I like watching a film like it's been made for.
Yeah.
So I don't do that. So what I like to do is get on the plane knackered and try and go to sleep.
Oh, see, I cannot sleep on a plane.
Oh, I can. Oh, mate, I can.
I am so envious of you. I've said this before on the podcast. What I've tried to do in the past is purposely book a flight where the plane will be taking off maybe about an hour before my normal bedtime.
Yeah.
The one that I set now, not my parents. And that means...
I watch Phoenix Nights on the plane.
Exactly. And that would mean that surely I should be tired, especially with all the rigmarole of going through airport security, big day.
Yeah.
And then I should go to sleep. But does it happen? Does it fuck? So what happens is I am up then basically for over 24 hours.
Oh, what you need to do is you need to earplugs.
Teach me.
Eye masks. Headphones on with some white noise. You need noise cancelling headphones. You need, even if you don't listen to music or anything, you need some white noise. Just some. Yeah.
It's so you get babies to sleep.
Yeah.
That just reminds me of horror films, and
no.
I am really scared of horror films. I'm such a child.
What I did when I went to Tokyo last time, this time I've just been now, put the bed down flat, I put my gym jams on.
Gym jams on.
Right, wait, hang on.
Yeah.
What do the gym jams look like? Are they printed? What's going on there?
Just plain ones.
Oh.
Plain day-night loungewear. The ones that Gandhi guy wears in Marks and Spencer's. That good-looking guy. That's what I'd said to look like David Gandhi. That's what I think I look like.
Right, okay, gotcha.
So I slip them on. I go brush my teeth, have a little wash, get myself all ready.
Normal routine.
Eye mask on, earplugs in, headphones over the top, wrap myself in the blanket. Yeah, wrap myself in the blanket. Ask for an extra pillow. I mean, sometimes in some cheap hotels, if you ask for that, you get something that you're not expecting. But as for an extra pillow, so you're nice and comfy, and belt on over your blanket, nice and tight.
Yeah. Don't want to get disturbed.
No, don't get disturbed. So you want to see your blanket. And if you sleep on your front, sleep on your front. If you sleep on your back, sleep on your back. On your side, adopt your position and brace. Claudio, the aforementioned guy who nearly got us kicked out of Tokyo, and myself, he said to me, he said, I have never seen anybody sleep as well. And I slept for 6 hours.
But I think your trick is, I think you're right, go through your exact normal bedtime routine.
Yeah, and be tired.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. But Stamps, we don't fly where we have a bed.
Well, no, you know this is true.
You know what I mean? We don't get that sort of luxury. But it's interesting you say that you go and put your pajamas on. Is that pretty normal in first class? People actually go and put their pajamas on?
I don't know, because we can't see each other. We're all in our own little pods.
You don't commit. You don't associate with each other.
I tell you what I did see. There's a chef called Anton Mosiman, I believe he's called. He's quite famous, but I sat next to him on a flight to Brazil once in business class. And when he was like doing loads of work, he was such a busy man. He was quite old, but he was still like typing and doing all sorts of stuff. He did two things that you see it all the time now. So when you go in business class, I don't think they do this in economy. But in business class, they'll take your coat as well and hang it up for you.
And they definitely do not do that in economy. You have to shove it into the seat in front.
Yeah. So they come and take your coat and they hang it up for you. They do that on... So I flew on the shuttle to London from Manchester, and I went as a Club Europe passenger, which is like first class, but on the same plane as everybody else. It just means there's nobody sat next to you.
Oh, right.
And they take your coat off you on there as well, and they give you a meal. Like, we're in the air for about 35 minutes. And 20 of those minutes, you've got your seatbelts on. So it was really weird, because they said, do you want the meal? I went, no, I'm all right, thanks. They went, do you want the drink? I went, no, I don't want anything. And they went, nothing. And she just kept going up to me going, biscuit? I went, I don't want anything. I just like...
Go on, have a biscuit.
I think because most of those passengers are always like people in business, aren't they? And they're not paying for the ticket, so they just take everything they can get. Do you know what I mean? And it's just... So Anton Mosiman is on this flight. Just as the dinner was being served, he said, right. And he had like a shirt and tie on. But he got out of his like little hand luggage, he got a Ralph Lauren white polo shirt.
Nice.
And pulled it over his shirt and used that as a bib. And I just thought, he's using the sort of level of clothing I would be wanting to protect. Protection. Yeah. So he just did that. So nice.
That's easy, like an £80 t-shirt. Like,
to use as a bib. Anyway,
white as well.
White, confident. There's a confidence in that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's confidence or just doesn't give a shit.
No shit's given.
Yeah. Anton.
He probably had bolognese as well, didn't he?
He probably had bolognese and red wine with chopsticks.
Exactly. Yeah, make as much mess as he wants.
He's a Swiss chef. He was at Maître Chef de Cuisine at the Dorchester.
Obviously meatballs then.
Yeah.
Won 2 stars in the Michelin Guard. Yeah, there you go.
But it's interesting because, like, when you were just speaking about being in first class and how you were amazed at how they were asking you how you wanted your coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Are you really saying that 10 grand? Because that's what some of these first class flights cost. 10 grand. It's worth it for basically just a barista in the sky.
Not for me. No, it's not. Not for me.
No, it's not for me either. But that's just wild, isn't it? That people would think, yeah, I will pay 10 grand for something I can get for £3.40 on the ground.
But that's the other thing as well about this, is that most people who buy these flights, they're not paying for the flights.
No.
Yeah.
So if they are paying for the flights, they are ludicrously rich, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Or there's businesses paying for them. Claire, who works for DFS, was saying that years ago in a different lifetime, she used to, I think it was something like Linda Evangelista, or it might have been, no, it wasn't. It was a model from Yorkshire. She was a model, but she was like quite a famous one. I've forgotten her name now, and perhaps it's not fair to name her for what I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. Probably a good job you can't remember.
That's the best kind of story.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you who it is because of what's coming.
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't that bad. But she was, so Claire said, so maybe she was getting 10 grand for doing a job, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So she was getting 10 grand, okay? And business class flights, okay? So that was the deal.
Yeah.
10 grand to do the job, whatever the modelling shoot was, and business class flights.
Mm-hmm.
But she would ring Claire and say, right, business class flights on this job, they're £3,000. Economy is 500. Book me on economy and I'll take the cash instead.
Yeah, too
Yeah.
right. Shrewd.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? I'd rather have the
And
money.
then what she would do, because she was flying so much anyway, she would use her points and upgrade.
Yeah.
And very often, because she was famous, would get upgraded anyway.
Yeah.
I have never had an upgrade like that.
Well, why not?
I don't think they exist.
Yeah,
I think it's a myth.
I think it is too.
The best one I ever heard was a comic, an Australian comic that was on tour with in Australia called Daniel Towns. And he said he went up to the check-in desk. And as he was checking, he said, all these stories of people getting upgraded at the check-in. He said, they just don't happen, do they? The one went, they do sometimes. And he went, oh, right, how? And she went, fine, not asking for it. Enjoy your upgrade.
Bloody hell.
And it upgraded him.
Right, I'm trying it next time.
Yeah. But he said he's tried that every time since.
Every time.
I bet.
Anyway, I heard a good thing as well. Somebody said to me once, you can buy a stamp, right, from a stamp shop, you know, like a printing stamp.
Yeah.
That says VIP, upgrade where possible, and stamp it on all your travel documents. Just try it.
Yeah, you might. You never know, do
Yeah.
Or become a millionaire and then it doesn't really matter.
I mean, yeah. Let's just do that, shall we?
That's
Should
the
be-
easiest way to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
I did try on my honeymoon, walking through the airport, saying like to the wife, I can't believe we're married. This is the honeymoon, like, as loud as possible.
Yes.
That is
Just as you're walking up to the
thing
check-in
to
desk.
do. Oh.
Nothing.
You need to do that before you go to the airport, apparently.
Okay. Yeah. Ring them up and things.
Yeah.
Going back to Tokyo, how was the Olympics during like the lockdown? Was it all a bit surreal?
It's a bit quiet.
Yeah.
There's probably more posters for the Olympics in Manchester than there were in Tokyo.
Yes.
It was like a bit of a dirty secret.
Really?
Was
It's
it?
such a shame, really, because the people of Tokyo would have been brilliant, even if they just had
Yeah.
half crowds in. They would have been fantastic. But they'd sort of made that decision just to make it go
Yeah.
ahead. And I think I'd like to think that the next time they're awarded Olympics, they just give it straight to Tokyo.
That'd
again.
be nice. As a little gesture.
Yeah, that would be the nice thing, wouldn't it? It would be the right thing
Yeah.
to do.
Apparently they go absolutely crazy for like the Kirin and the track cycling.
Yeah, they love it.
That's why they put it on last.
Yeah.
'Cause that was supposed to be like the massive thing and like no one was able to go.
Yeah, it's a Japanese speciality.
Yeah. Such a shame. But we did well.
We
you
did.
You must have had some good interviews with people.
Yeah, the BMX. He's talking about the BMXs. They were brilliant. All of them
Yeah.
were really good. Everybody was great, to be honest with you. That we got through. There was nobody really. There was one or two athletes who had not done as well as they wanted to, and that's always a bit tricky because.
Oh yeah. Did you get to talk to the boxer?
No, we didn't. No, because the boxing was right at the end, so we missed out on the box. Because once it got to the end, the ones who were competing in the last few days, they wanted to walk around the track at the end, you know, the closing
Yes.
ceremony. So
Yeah.
but once they'd left the village, they had to leave within 2 days. So
Yeah, they were sending them all home, weren't they?
yeah, it was a real. So if they stayed in the village, they were all right, but then they were getting sent home. So yeah, it was to be honest with you, it was frustrating a lot of the time being there because
Yeah.
you're in such a fabulous country and there's an amazing thing going on, but nothing you can do about it. So there was a level of frustration about it, but overall, it was. I mean, if you ever get a chance to go to Tokyo, it's the best place I've been. It's just great. It feels dead safe as well, and it's clean mostly and tidy, and everyone's respectful, and the service is incredible, and the trains do run to the second. You know, it's just brilliant.
To be fair, that would just be good to see, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Like, I genuinely, so like my ex-boyfriend, he lives in Liverpool, and I have dropped him off at the train station before, early,
Yeah.
and the train has already gone.
That shouldn't be a thing.
It shouldn't be. So 10 o'clock at night, I had to drive him to Liverpool.
Yeah.
And it's like, how is this even fine? We are known for not being on time and for being late. That is what transport is like in England.
I reckon he was just playing the game,
I reckon he just wanted to live.
or he was trying to get an extra night out of you, and you're thinking, no, balls to this, I'll drive you. You're like, I'll drive you.
We know why he's your ex-boyfriend. You're definitely going to drive him home.
That's it. You ain't staying another night with me. I'll drive you myself.
Yeah, I did drive him home, to be fair. It went maybe he had work the next day, he had to get home. So yeah. But yeah, like it's just crazy. Like, left early. I've never heard anything like it. But you'd been to Tokyo before though, hadn't you, Justin?
Yeah. So I didn't feel that upset about it.
No.
Yeah, it was still
Oh yeah, that'd be horrible, wouldn't it? Yeah, if that was your only experience.
Yeah, I'd like to go again. I will go again, though. I'd like to go again, definitely. I'd like to go because the idea of this, because you go somewhere like that, it's so far away and you're so lucky to get to go for free that it's nice to tack on something at the end and perhaps, have a little holiday. And one of the other producers that was there is I'm mates with Jack. And we said, oh, it'd be great to get the bullet train down to Kyoto and Osaka and see these different places. But we just weren't allowed.
Yeah.
So weren't allowed as in the country itself, you're not allowed to do certain things, or as part of your bubble?
As Mom said, you make sure you come straight home.
Because of the that was part of the visa. The visa was that you couldn't you had to stick to your thing. But actually outside Tokyo the restrictions weren't as strict at the time. So it was Tokyo was where the emergency orders were in place. So I'm so sick of talking about COVID. Are you?
Oh, so much. Yeah.
Just so sick. I mean, it's there. We've got to talk about it. I know, and people have had it a lot worse than any of us. But just something else to talk about, please. I don't mean on this podcast. I just mean generally in life.
It just seems to be running rife again at the minute. But anyway, enough COVID talk.
What did you not do in Tokyo the first time that you'd go back to go and see?
I go to the Studio Ghibli theme park.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Has that gone over your head, Joe?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what it is.
They make amazing Japanese animated films like My Neighbor Totoro, Spirited Away.
Okay.
Ponyo.
Yeah.
Arietti.
Okay.
No, none of these things mean anything to you.
Howl's Moving Castle.
Is it Pokemon?
No.
No, it's not Pokemon.
Proper good Oscar-winning films.
They're all on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
They just happen to be animated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pokemon.
And it's a theme park, like roller coaster.
No. It's a magical place. It doesn't matter if you don't know what it is.
It's like Dollywood for you.
No, but Dollywood is a theme park, though, much to my surprise.
To your surprise.
I didn't realise. Yes, that's where you want to go. Want to go see that?
Yeah, definitely do that. Mount Fuji would obviously be a nice place to go. I'd like to go in the cherry blossom season. That would be lovely.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. It's so beautiful. With Mount Fuji, can you do one of those things where you get like a cable car up, or you just got to walk it?
No, I think you can go up so far. There's ways up that are easy to walk, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because I've done Mount Snowdon and I nearly died. So
yeah.
I don't know why you're laughing. Honestly, it was the worst day of my life.
I think it's a bit bigger.
What, Mount Fuji's bigger?
Yeah.
Bigger than where?
Snowdon.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I'm definitely not walking that then. Blimey.
When did you do Mount Snowdon?
Maybe like 5 or 6 years ago now.
Yeah, there was no queue. There's queues at the minute, isn't there?
Is there?
Yeah.
You got to go up one at a time.
Oh my goodness. I wouldn't be queuing to go on that bloody thing.
4 times as high. Fuji.
Mount Fuji is 4 times higher than Snowdon?
Yeah. Snowdon's 1,000 metres. Fuji's nearly 4,000 metres.
Blimey. No chance.
It'd be all right.
No way. But do you know what's interesting? I really struggled going up Mount Snowdon. Everyone else thought it was fine. Coming down, everyone hated it. And I much preferred going down.
Pardon?
Mount Tim. Yep. I realised once I said that.
Now, you see, what normally happens on this podcast is I get a rollicking off Joe for making inappropriate and insinuating comments about her sexual behaviour. So I'm trying today to not do anything, and you're doing it for me.
Oh my goodness me. But you came back from Tokyo, no COVID. There's been no reports from Team GB of any COVID.
No.
You didn't pick COVID up from the toilet and then take it to the rest of the team?
No, I did all right, yeah. I got away with it.
So moving on from Tokyo, you have also done a road trip from San Fran to LA as well.
Yeah.
Have you done a few road trips? Is this the only one you've done?
It's the only one we've ever done. So we flew to San Francisco. This was a family holiday.
Oh, nice.
The 4 of us, sort of like, probably the last holiday because the kids were like 14 and 21. Yeah. So, as together. So, did the classic, flew into San Francisco and I got a stretch limo to the hotel, which is great.
Oh,
'Cause
fancy.
They're not really though. They're about 10% more than a normal taxi. But just to see my daughter's face. Honestly, they are. They're not that much more expensive than a taxi. They're just like town cars, and it's a thing that they do. And
Yeah.
so my daughter was like that. Limo! And so we got this stretch limo. So spent a few days in San Francisco, which, I mean, if this podcast is giving people travel tips, because that's what we're doing as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't need more than a couple of days in San Francisco. We did like 4 days, and it was like, a bit boring after a couple of days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, once you've done Alcatraz is the best attraction I've ever been to. I loved Alcatraz.
Yeah.
And we did an open top tour, and we saw the sea lions, and that was about it, really. It's not, for me, there wasn't much more that I wanted to see. And then we got on the road, and once we started on the road, it was brilliant. Just went down the Pacific Coast Highway, and
Yeah.
the only problem we had, there'd been a landslide, so we couldn't do Big Sur, which is like the most amazing part of that trip. Is a beautiful countryside, the beautiful thing. So we missed that, but went to some amazing places. Went to Monterey and Carmel Beach, and I really like the Central Coast area of California.
Okay.
It's places like San Luis Obispo and places like that. Really, just sort of not very touristy. You get a little bit of America in there, and had an amazing time. We went up to the. It's quite funny. We got tried to book for the national park. What's it called? Yosemite. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To see Yogi.
And and it was about 4 months before we went. Tried to book somewhere, and it was completely full.
Oh,
So it gets booked up. So if you are going, you need to book early. So we ended up booking into Mount Sequoia Mountains.
Oh, yeah.
And we went. I mean, that was like a terrible decision.
Oh, God.
We had to drive up the mountain, and it took like 2.5 hours up just tracks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it is weird, isn't it? You don't want to have to necessarily go that far, but the mountains in America, trying to drive around them, it takes forever. Like I was in the Smoky Mountains, and I think the drive, it was something like 10 miles.
Oh, so you're not covering much distance.
No, but it took me an hour because of the way you have to wind round the mountains. You can't go that fast because of all the animals that might be there, and people you just go slow anyway. It's just dangerous to go too fast around the bends and everything. It just takes you ages to get anywhere. You think, only 11 miles, only 10 miles. Yeah, we can do that in 20 minutes, half an hour being safe. You can't.
No, he said, nightmare. Yeah, absolute nightmare. It was like sheer drop. I'm driving on the wrong side of the road. Like everyone's screaming in the car, and I've obviously hired a bigger car than I could possibly handle. So I'm in this massive truck, and on the edge of these roads, and just thinking, when will we ever get there? When will we ever get there?
Yeah.
We get to the top of the mountain. It's beautiful. We get to the top of this place, and we'd hired this cabin which had no running water or electricity or anything. It was great. It was great though. It was really good.
Yeah.
And it was like,
did the kids like that though?
Yeah.
They're like, what have you done to us?
But we lit fire. No, they loved it. We lit fires
that
and
sounds amazing.
made s'mores and
oh, nice.
they had a little sort of like camp, not restaurant, but like you could buy your food and your breakfast and everything.
Yeah,
You could eat there and have a beer, and it was nice. It was really, really nice. And you just go for like hikes, but it was like. So you see one sign, and they tell you all about the bears. So the bears are really important. You don't want to be got by a bear because bears.
You don't want to be got by a bear. That's travel advice from Justin Moorhouse.
Bears.
You don't want to be got by a bear.
And they told us this thing about people would cover their tires up with metal boxes, like a clamp.
Yeah.
Because the bears would often pop the tires because they thought there was food in them or things like that.
Oh, wow.
And then what you have to do is you have to take your baby seat out of the car, and you have to lock it in a metal box in the car park because the bears will smell the milk and all the stuff the baby's left, and they will literally wrench the door off your car.
Oh, wow.
To get to that smell.
That is crazy.
So you've got all that in your mind when you park up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they say, the other thing as well, snakes, right? So you don't want to be got by a bear, and you certainly don't want to be got by a snake.
Yeah.
But the thing with snakes is there's nothing you can do. If they see you, they see you. You know, just be careful. Don't stand under a tree too long. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
What kind of snakes like have they got in like that area of America?
Snakes. Like snakes.
The snaky kind.
Horrible snaky ones.
Rattlesnake.
Oh no!
I don't know.
Oh, you don't.
I don't know. I didn't go into it.
Ones
Yeah.
they told you not to be eaten by.
Yeah. So I was thinking, right, watch out for the bears. Watch out for the snakes. Let's go for a little walk. It'll be nice. We go around the corner. It says, "Be aware of mountain lions." Now,
Oh, for God's sake!
I'm scared of lions anyway. But then when they're mountain lions,
I think you're within your rights to be scared of lions. To be fair,
yeah. So you don't want to be got by a bear. You want to avoid the snakes. And now the mountain lions are on. And I said, "Shall we go for a walk, or shall we go back and light a fire?" So, and it's interesting. Up this, so in the winter, it's completely under snow. It's like. Because on top of a mountain, obviously, that's how mountains work, don't they? And Walt Disney bought it, the area, years ago. They were going to put the Winter Olympics there at one point. So that's a kind of isn't it? Yeah. That's a kind of full circle back to the Olympics. Yeah, so it's good. And then we sort of moseyed on our way down from there. We stayed one night in this place, and basically what happened was we were on the road and everything was very expensive.
Yeah.
And in the end, the hotels were quite cheap, but we'd go for breakfast, and for four of us, it'd be like $100 every day.
Yeah.
By the time you get your breakfast, it'd be $10, coffee on top, bit of toast, everything. Before you know it, it's $100.
Yeah.
So we ended up, here's my travel tip, my favorite travel tip. If you're going to travel a lot, pick a hotel brand and stick to it. So I am an IHG man, okay? So you get Holiday Inns for that. You can get all sorts of things. And we were finding rooms with 2 double beds in for the four of us, including breakfast for $90.
Nice.
Perfect.
Oh, that's good.
So we were just finding these hotels on the road and then driving to them as our next destination. So we ended up in one place and we thought, this is a bit ropey. And then we sort of like went to the cinema and it was really a ropey area.
Oh, God.
A bit weird. And we watched Spider-Man in this cinema. It was only when we sort of moved on and we went to the next town. Somebody said, "Where have you been?" And we'd been to Bakersfield.
Yeah.
And apparently it's like a murder capital.
Oh, really?
Of the area. Yeah, it's one of those.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, one of those. But yeah, it's a real funny place, Bakersfield. So we watched Spider-Man there. But we also, this is a lovely thing, we watched Dunkirk on the big screen in San Francisco. I have never felt more British in my life.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, the bears thing, because I spent 2 nights in Gatlinburg in the Smoky Mountains. And like the first night, I stayed in this hotel that was quite like a big hotel and it was fine. There was like, I didn't have a balcony. There was no chance that like bears were going to be a problem for me. But then I ended up liking Gatlinburg. Like you, I was booking as I was going. And I thought, I'll stay a second night. Because I was booking for that next night, I didn't have much choice of where to stay. So I stayed in the ropiest motel that you could ask for, like shocking. Yeah, I was in this like little motel room and it's not even like a proper door. It's like it was awful. They were like, oh yeah, there'll be bears and things. We suggest you don't walk around at night on your own.
That's just a casual comment.
Make sure your doors are locked. So I was like in bed. I've been on the road for maybe 3 weeks at this point on my own, staying in ropey places. I'd kind of got used to it and found a way to just sleep past the scariness of it all, the sheer terror.
Yeah.
So then the next morning I get up to go and check out. And they were like, oh, you were staying up on the hill last night. Did you see the bear? You didn't open your door, did you? And I said, no, I didn't. And the people next to me, in the room next to me, the bear came and was like banging and crashing around and like not knocking on the door to come in, but it kept crashing into the door and stuff. And like, but there's like a bear goes to this hotel and he goes there every single day and like gets food at the bins and everything. And like the people that work at the hotel are just like really like nonchalant about the whole thing. They're just like, yeah, that's Dave. He just comes and sees us. And they're like, we just shoo him away if we've had enough.
What?
Yeah. So, like, I think because he's like a regular, he's got used to the people. really, but it doesn't make me want to go and see him anymore. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it is a bit, and like I loved going to the little towns and stuff in America, but there is definitely a risk with that.
Yeah.
It's weird. In England, cities gradually get worse. Like it gradually goes into a rubbish area.
Mhm.
In America,
Mm.
that's not the case.
Yeah.
You go over a set of traffic lights and you're in real danger. You go back
Yeah.
and
yeah,
you're totally fine. And it's,
Yeah.
my goodness me, you don't want to make that wrong turn. It can be quite scary, actually.
It is. And then there's, I think you carry around a lot of that fear.
Yeah, you do.
A lot of the stuff we've seen is like on telly, innit? And there's not many good films that are just about normal neighborhoods.
No.
There's always something weird. I spent a bit of time in LA driving around. And one of my favorite things was seeing locations from films.
Yes. Yeah.
That you've seen and just looks very, very familiar. And I remember being at a few places where Pulp Fiction was filmed and some things, crossings and all that, where Marcellos and he bangs into him in a car and everything.
Yeah,
but
that'd be awesome.
Near there, Glendale, one of the funniest things that happened ever on my travels was my daughter was quite into comic books and stuff like that. So whenever we stopped, we'd go and find a comic book shop and we'd buy some more and that sort of stuff. So we went to this comic book shop in Glendale that we'd seen listed anyway. We tried around, we couldn't find it, and we saw this place. It was all like sort of boarded up. So anyway, we knocked on the door, and this guy, and it was like classic. Door opens on the latch, and he goes, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, we want to come buy some comics." And he goes, "Oh, right, great. Come in." So we go in, and there's like 4 or 5 sort of socially awkward young people, sat around playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh my god!
So it's like cliched. It was like he couldn't have been any more like cliched. So we're like browsing, and my daughter and I are sort of like giggling away as they're all playing Dungeons and Dragons. Next thing you know, there's another knock on the door, and this guy was like, comic book guy from Simpsons.
Yeah.
So this guy had was balding, but he had a ponytail. He had a t-shirt riding up. He had a little waistcoat on, and he came and he said, I've been looking at and I don't know what it was, but it was like Superman 3 comic that you've got. Yeah. So the guy goes to the back and he gets the box of keys out and he opens the glass cabinet and he carefully puts gloves on.
Oh my goodness.
And he takes this comic down and this guy looks at it. This guy smells it. Like it's a fine wine. This guy gets the comic and he goes, "How much did you say?" And it was like $200, whatever. So when he goes, "Okay, I'll have it." And he bought this thing, and it's just like, oh my god, he smelled it like it was cheese or wine or
like it was cheese.
Incredible, yeah.
Oh my goodness me!
But you'll see it because, like, I'm like a bit of a little bit of a geek.
All right,
yeah. But you'll go to like Comic-Con and stuff, like these big shows, and the comics that they've got in like sealed plastic airtight things for, like you say, like $300-400 quid.
Yeah,
and it's like, why would you be spending that on a comic?
Yeah, well, they just do, don't they? I mean, they just do. I mean, I buy a few comics for. I mean, we like some of them. Do you know what I mean? But it's like anything that's obsessive, isn't it? It's like anything that's like you want. I mean, it's whether you want. It's funny, really. During the last sort of 18 months or so, and talking of COVID, it's kind of interesting that we're talking about travel and everything else because I've bought stuff during lockdown that I just don't need.
Yeah.
Just because people are buying stuff. And actually, this last 6 months or so, I've really thought I'd rather spend my money and my time on experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Rather than things anymore. Because, as Kerry Godleman once said brilliantly in stand-up, she goes shopping and she goes in John Lewis at Christmas and just looks at it all and goes, it's just landfill. And a lot of the stuff that we buy that we don't really need, I'm really kind of keen on. I'm very keen on minimalism and kind of living simply and that sort of stuff. More, I mean, I say all this and then I don't do it, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a scruffy person that's trying to be a minimalist. This is the contradiction that I have. But even to like the extent of traveling is really, I hate like losing. I'm always really bad at like where have I left my passport or that sort of stuff. But actually, if you it's something that, I mean, this is quite geeky, but I'm interested in like one bag travel and things like that. You know this concept, don't you?
Like you challenge yourself.
Yeah, to try and cut it all down. And
Okay.
Jerry Seinfeld said, about comedians that the number one rule for the comedian on the road, there's 3 parts to it. It's pack light, eat right, work tight.
Nice.
So don't ever take anything with you when you travel that you don't need.
Yeah.
These people who have holiday clothes, why would you wear something on holiday that you wouldn't wear at home?
And people also seem to have this irrational fear of washing their clothes when they're on holiday.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
must take something for every day.
Every single day, yeah.
You could just wash stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because I was in Tokyo for nearly 4 weeks, there's no way I could take clothes for 4 weeks,
No,
Yeah.
no.
even with my extensive baggage allowance. Thanks to my business. But you know what? Talking of being a minimalist, I bought so much stuff in Tokyo. I had to buy, this is so bad. This is basic travel error 101. I had to buy an extra case at the airport.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cost me a fortune.
Oh, my goodness.
But I think I'd do that if I was like somewhere like Tokyo.
Yeah.
I'd take as little as possible so I could bring back as much
But
as
you know
possible.
what? I was buying stuff for other people, not for me. I was
Yeah.
taking orders.
Taking on.
Next we're going, can you get me them jeans? Can you get me this? Can you buy me that? And that's what I was doing.
When I went, I was going for 5 weeks, and I was like, I take a massive suitcase when I'm just going to Spain for a week.
Yeah.
How the hell am I going to pack for 5 weeks and potentially across kind of different sort of, not climates necessarily or drastic seasons,
Yeah.
but still there's going to be differences. And I was like, oh my, how am I going to do this? I made sure that I didn't take a huge bag with me, and I took clothes that were just kind of basic, and I wouldn't mind too much if they didn't come back with me.
Yeah.
First of all, but what I would do is I found, right, okay, so if I book an apartment now 2 weeks in, I can do all of my washing, because that's one thing. I stayed in a Hilton
Mhm.
in Fort Lauderdale, and I went and I said, oh yeah, have you got like a laundry service? They're like, yeah, sure, back it all up and tell us how many items you've got, and then we can do that for you. I was like, okay, brilliant. So I had a look at the sheet, and they wanted 40 cents for a sock.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can
Just
stop
one.
off.
Just gonna wash one sock.
Nothing. That's the thing. I had 3 weeks worth of clothes to wash. I was like, you can side right. I'm not made of money. I might win a 5-week holiday around the US, but I'm not made of money. I'm not paying 40 cents to wash a sock.
I'll take your 40 cent a sock story and I'll raise you. So
Oh my God.
I was staying at the Hallamshire, I think it's called, in Leicester Square in London. What I do is I'll take the washing bag
Yeah.
and use it for my smalls to take home. You take the washing bag, the dry cleaning bag. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got it one day and I'd done that, and I'd forgot to put that in my suitcase. So I'd left all my dirty underwear in the bag.
Yeah.
The maids had come in and they'd taken it.
Oh.
Because that's the deal. You put it in the bag.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I came
That's
back
the
that
process.
night to find my underpants hung up on little hangers with them little pegs and a bill for £68.
Oh my God. Yeah. My bill would have been like $100 or something ridiculous. Did you pay it though? Because obviously, you didn't want them to do it.
I'd put my laundry in a bag that said, please launder me, and left it by the door where you're supposed to leave it. I didn't have an excuse.
You had no grounds. Yeah, you had no
No, Joanne,
grounds.
just did not have an excuse.
And then, as you say, bringing back mementos, bringing back orders. My dad was asking for T-shirts left, right and centre from Sun Studios and here, there and everywhere. I had to buy a second suitcase. So, yeah, totally get it. So, Justin, where are you planning on going to next?
Going to the Isle of Man next week.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, going to the Isle of Man for a gig. So that's another travel experience. And then hopefully going to New York in October on holiday, but just waiting to find out whether we can or not because obviously of restrictions. So that's the plan. And I really want to go to Australia next year and do comedy at the festivals. But
fab.
that's not up to me. That's up to the festival organisers. So those are my 3 sort of wants. The Isle of Man, New York and Melbourne.
Have you been to New York before?
No.
Okay.
I've only been to America twice, and I've been to Florida on holiday and California on holiday, and that's it. So
Yeah.
really looking forward to it.
Yeah. I think, Yeah, you'll definitely enjoy it. Whereabouts in New York are you staying?
Williamsburg, Brooklyn, IHG Hotel again for the points.
Nice.
So, yes. Oh, actually, I say that. And I'm also going to Malaga at the beginning of October.
Oh, okay.
Got a mate who lives there, and we're going to go and watch football and go for some nice food and things like that. Have you ever been?
I haven't.
It's great.
Like, I know you've already been to Tokyo, but I imagine Malaga will be without many or any restrictions, and it'll be like a proper holiday, and it's just going to be so nice, isn't it, to just have that sense of a break.
Just to be somewhere, definitely.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah, that all sounds brilliant.
Yeah, jealous now, aren't you?
Oh, uber.
Yeah.
So badly. So, Sams, how do you feel about potentially navigating the bears in the mountains now? Do you think you'd be all right?
No. As much as I want to go to all these places, all these stories of scary animals and insects and near-death experiences puts me off a little bit.
That's what this podcast is all about. You know that, right? That's what we need people to go and do, like experience that, so that we've got stories that we can record. You can't be then like, yeah, that doesn't sound like for me. I'm not. I'll ask people to go and do it so they can tell us about it, but I'm not going to contribute.
I don't know. Just maybe, the odd episode, we could be like, so, how was America? Yeah, it was great. I had a lovely time, thanks. There you go. Sold. Nice quick episode.
That's what everyone wants to hear, isn't it? That everything's just fine and dandy. No, it's not. Only your mum wants to hear that.
Your mum.
You know what I mean?
I am starting to get more and more on board, no pun intended, on board with these first class flights, though. They just sound amazing.
You think that's going to be your mode of transport?
Yeah, I might just have to fly around a bit.
So of all the things of what you think that you want to experience from all of these episodes so far, at the moment, the only thing you think is acceptable for you is a first class flight.
Business class sounded all right.
Gotcha. No, I think you're going to have to jump in at the deep end and experience some of these things. Go to Australia and see some snakes and some spiders, to America, go into the bear country. Like, it'll be great. Character building, Stamps.
I've got a great character. Not sure it needs building.
Okay, just waiting for anyone else to agree.
Oh!
That was pretty savage, to be fair.
You've been working with me too long.
I have. But no, I think some great stories from Justin, and just a lovely chat as well, I think.
It was a lovely chat. What a lovely guy.
And you were obviously fangirling for the whole time.
Yes. Lovely guy to have a talk to.
Absolutely.
Lovely way to spend an evening.
So if you've enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it, as usual, please like, share, follow us on Instagram, help us beat the algorithms.
Comment, apparently. Comments beat algorithms.
There we are.
Same time next week, people.
Find us on Instagram, Misadventures in Travel. Follow us, like our posts, support us, and if you've got any stories, any misadventures of your own, DM us, let us know, and we could share them on the podcast.